All right, quick little update. Got the engine in, as you saw in the video. Henry was here all last week, and man, it is so nice having just an extra body here that's capable. I mean, we were knocking two things out at once, and he caught me up by probably a month of me doing this by myself. So huge help, huge thank you to Henry and Marcel for coming out and spending this time. So it was a good learning experience for him too, so he can take what he learned here and move to his chassis that he's building on the table right now, which is our Gen 2 chassis. So anyway, as you saw in the last video, got the seats mounted, got the dash mounted, and the shifters in. Scott fabbed up this super rad bearing steering column for me. I'll plasma out, engineer and design some mounts for that to get it welded in. It's just zip tied in place right now, but it's got the steering column in there. It will be a collapsible steering column. That way, if I were to hit the steering wheel, say with my chest or anything, there's some give in there, and I'll show you how I designed that when we get closer to it. Nothing proprietary. Every stock vehicle out there has a collapsible steering column, so I just want to integrate it into this truck. Also got the master cylinder and the brake system set up, all fabbed in, and then we got motor plates. You'll see in this video, we cut those out. Got the pedestals already made. Henry's got them over there. I'll get those burned in. What else? We got the fire extinguishing system for the onboard extinguishing system bracket mounted there. We got the Kenwood. Henry fabbed up this nice mount for the Kenwood radio to go right there. And then also the plate, the race back will go right here, just like in the other truck. And there's the Kenwood head unit there. So, and then obviously we got the engine in there, and it fit awesome. Lots of room, fits in there, snug as a bug. The goal is to use a aftermarket, readily available long tube LS header that can run down the center tunnel. As you can see, there's lots of room there, just as much room there would be in a stock street truck. Keep in mind, I know trophy truck headers that come out the fenders here look super cool, right? Aesthetically pleasing and awesome, but our goal here is to try to minimize cost for the customer and simplify the accessibility of parts. Those headers are expensive and they have to be custom made, whereas an over-the-counter aftermarket long tube header is super cheap and readily available. And then it just runs down the center tunnel, and they'll come out back here somewhere. So that's our goal with this whole thing, is trying to build it with easy, inexpensive parts that are reliable, you know. So that's the goal. And all these brackets and mounts that I'm making now will all be catted out and available with the chassis. So when you get this, it's not just the tubes and the main structure of the truck that is all welded yourself, but all the brackets and everything will come too, and their placement, you know. You put the motor mount right where we tell you to put it, and the engine will set right on top of it. So yeah, that's the goal. Back to the engine and transmission. The next video, I'll do the pedestals for the motor mounts to get those burned in, and the rear trans mount. Once those are done, I'll remove the engine and trans again and separate them, and I'll put the mid plate in, and I will trim it to where it needs to be here. I'll do some measurements from the center of the trans, or a center point on the engine or trans, and figure out how wide that needs to be. Oops. How wide that needs to be. I'll trim that, and then I'll put it in between the engine and trans, and then I'll put all this back in, mount it to their mounts, and the placement of the motor mid plate will tell me where and how to fab up the mounts off of this that the mid plate will bolt to. So we couldn't do it before because we didn't know where center line was gonna exactly be. Like we could have measured it and got rough, but I would rather have the motor in place and know exactly where that center line is to get the correct measurement for the width of that plate. So that's why we didn't do it before. It's worth it to get it in, get the motor and trans mounts done, pull it out, install that, trim it, and then put it back in. That way everything will fit exactly where it needs to be every single time we take this out, put it back in. So that was the plan. So anyway, again, thank you to Henry for coming out and helping, and Marcel, she's a big help as well. And it literally saved me a ton of time, and I'm super grateful for it. Caught me up by a month at least. Yeah. Oh, real quick, I want to touch on something. So the tailstock of the transmission is going to be a 1/4 inch more this way, just because of the mid plate. But you want just advice. You want your pivot of your drive shaft to be close to the pivot of this. You don't want it to be way back here. In the center is probably okay, but you want it close to here. And you don't, the reason being is if it's anywhere else, as the rear end cycles, you're gonna get some thrush, some push on that drive shaft as it goes up. Now I run a 2-piece drive shaft, so it's got movement, you know, it shrinks and expands as it goes up. But if you're running a solid drive shaft, you don't want a whole lot of push thrust in there. A little bit's okay, but if you have too much, it's going to damage the internals of your tailstock, your transmission. It's going to shove really hard into your transmission, or the other way, and it'll come all the way out and your drive shaft will fall out. My point is, you want to make sure that your yoke on your drive shaft is close to the geometry as this in here. That way there's very little in and out movement as this cycles its semicircular radius motion up and down. So if that makes sense. When I get to that, I'll probably explain it more, but just a heads up. Came to mind right now, so I thought I'd touch on it. But so anyway, that's where we're at. Lots of progress, looking good. Got the laser here, super straight. It's going along super quick. Yeah, we're right on track. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time. Thanks for watching.